Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about the Ricoh GR2. It's not going to be a deep dive into the technicality of the camera. It's just mine and Luke's opinion on the Ricoh GR2, how we personally use it, what we like, what we don't like about it. And this is all because we have an upcoming video coming out soon on the Ricoh GR2. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, please let us know if you've got a Ricoh GR2. Let us know in the comments what you think of it.
Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe and notification something and comment and tell your mum.
And follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our mailing list, which is www.front.photography, or that way. God, I should get paid for this.
I would say I haven't used it properly for a start, so it's great. It's a great way to kick off. I've used it. I've set it up how I like it being set up, with like the positive film setting for the JPEGs, and the buttons doing what I want them to do, and then I kind of don't touch any of that stuff again, which is the way I do it with every camera. And I bought it because I
had it.
Yeah, because you had it. This is my main digital camera, right? The X Pro 2. And I bought right, this is my main camera with a different lens. So I bought a 28mm equivalent, which is the same as a Ricoh, little pancake lens, because I was like,
what is that camera you're holding there? Because if you're cutting the last bit out, people need to know.
I'll leave a bit of it in. But the X Pro 2, right? And I bought, and it's a fairly sizable camera, and I bought the pancake lens to make it more pocketable. And it's a really decent lens, but since buying this, I've never gone out with this, because this was bought to make this camera pocketable. But when I need a pocketable camera,
you've got the Ricoh.
Like that. And I would also say, I think buying, I mean, I did this, but I think buying a camera because you can put it in your pocket is like, should be way down on the list of reasons to buy a camera, because that's basically, I'm buying a camera for what I can do with it when I'm not using it. Like,
yeah, no, I'd agree. But again, it kind of depends on, again, what you're shooting, right? Because for me, the attraction to buy a small camera that I can get out of my pocket and take a photo in about a second, give or take, is attractive for what I originally bought the camera for.
Yeah.
And again, like I said to you, one of the reasons I bought the camera was to use it in my own family life. So not so much about making the perfect photograph or street photography. It was about something that I could have on me without having to have a camera strap on, without having to like hang it around my waist or anything like that. Just have it in my pocket so I can get out. Oh, smile, guys! Bang, capture a moment, and it's there. Yeah.
And it's very unimposing as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, massively. Yeah, but you don't like the look of it, do you?
No, I don't. But I'll talk about that in a second, because I've just remembered something excellent, right? So one of the reasons that I wanted to stop taking this out with me when I went out with my family, my kids, was because I always put it around my neck, right? I'll do a demonstration. It's about the height of my son, right? Maybe a little bit shorter. I'd have it around my neck, and the amount of times I've gone like that and smashed it into the top of his head. Yeah. I need to stop doing that, but it was like the smallest camera I had to take out. So
it's like the perfect cover story, that, isn't it?
Just yeah, for why I need to block him around the head. And then I saw this. It's quite beaten up. I mean, I don't think it's too bad, and none of that stuff bothers me. But I saw it online, like 200 and something quid, which is like probably £100 less than you'd normally pay for a second-hand one. So I was like,
yeah, let's briefly touch on the price, because brand new they're what, about 550 quid, give or take, yeah.
yeah. So it's GR2 is 479, GR3 is 749 now, but a few months ago, this was, I think you're right, this was like 550 still new, and the GR3 was like 900, or
Yeah,
was that stupid?
yeah. Or again, you can
Three
pick up a decent second-hand one for what, about, well, if you're lucky, 250, maybe
for
350,
this.
depending on
So
the condition. Yeah,
I looked at, as we all do all the time, look at cameras on eBay, track the prices on stuff that you never intend to buy, and I 350 for this in decent condition. So to get this for under 300 quid, I was like, it's fine. And if I don't like it, can sell it. And yeah, it was that sort of thing. So the reason I've never really used it properly, I've never gone out for a day of shooting street photography. I've never picked this up, because this is more of I'm going out with my kids. I need something that I can
yeah,
put in my pocket when I'm like running after them or whatever. And you can't, the X Pro isn't perfect for that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think going back to it, depends on the kind of photography that you take, and also maybe location can be a factor. In fact, one of the photos that I sent you to, I don't know if we're going to flash it up or whatnot, is
Yeah.
a white photo that I took in Barcelona. And it's
Yeah.
just some mopeds outside the hotel that me and Vicky were staying in.
Mm.
But I'd never been to Barcelona before. We were there for, I think, 3 nights. It was actually my birthday. We went there to go skateboarding. And Barcelona's got a bit of a reputation, right, for getting stuff robbed. So for me, the Ricoh was perfect, because I didn't have to wear it around my neck. I didn't have to lug it around in one hand all the time. It would just fit in my pocket.
Yeah.
And knowing that it would take crystal sharp photos was ideal for me for that kind of thing. And again, going back to like the street photography style of it, it's a perfect camera for street photography. I do miss looking through a viewfinder, but at the same time, it still takes a great photo without doing that. It depends on the experience that you want to have taking the photo, I guess.
Yeah, that kind of stealthiness is good. And what I kind of always used to do anyway was, if I was trying to take a stealthy photo with the X Pro 2, I always hold it low down anyway and kind of look through it like that. So it's kind of, it feels quite natural using that. I do like the option. I know you can buy a stupid little thing to go on top, can't you? But
yeah, I even looked into getting one of them. I think I even looked at, then I couldn't warrant buying it, because I think they're like 100 quid. Give it again, give or take, maybe even a bit more than that. But you can get a cheap one. You can get a cheap one for 20, 30, maybe 40 quid. But then I was just like, well, I'm not. I can't. It's not doing anything. There's not a purpose for it apart from to look through it to feel like you're taking a photo. So I couldn't even justify that.
And then it doesn't fit in your pocket anyway.
Yeah, not with that one anyway.
So I thought when we started saying, oh, let's do a little video talking about this camera, I was like, I haven't taken any photos that I like using this camera. And since I've said that to you earlier, I'm like, no, I actually have. Like, I can think of quite a few, just bits and bobs that I've put on Instagram. So I'll chuck a couple up, and there's a couple of photos that I showed you the other day, just like on a bright sunny day, and it really like highlights how crystal clear the photos are that it can take.
Yeah, definitely.
16 million pixel like APS-C sensor and a Ricoh lens. You can't really go too far wrong. But I've taken a lot of photos on this where I'm like, it's probably because I'm not super used to the setup of the camera, but I've taken some stuff on it where I'm like, it just looks a bit crummy. I don't, and whereas I know if I'd been using my X Pro 2, I'd have got a better shot, I would say. But that's probably me. It's probably because I'm more used to the camera. I prefer using that camera. It's always what I take with me. One of those things I kind of want to get out of the habit of doing is going out to shoot film and taking a digital camera with me. And this does not help with getting out of that habit, because it so easily sits inside your coat pocket or whatever, and then you end up with loads of digital versions of your film photos and stuff. But it's quite a if you do need to do that, it's pretty handy.
Well, I remember kind of like pre-COVID, pre-lockdown. Oh yeah, so I must have had the camera about 2.5 years now. Maybe 2 years, I'm not too sure, but I was taking it everywhere with me because A, it was new, I wanted to shoot the camera, but B, because of the size of it and the kind of things that I was going to. Well, you take some of our ambassadors, take Yoshi, Christian.
Yeah,
they both got one and they kill it. It works works for them. And I was going to gigs, or I was going to parties. I remember going to like a Christmas dinner that me and my friends put on every year, and one of the photos from there, I think you might see it, it's my friend with like the tattooed face. But it's so easy to just get that out, put the flash on if I needed it, and I know I'd get a good photo. I didn't really have to worry about editing the photos, not for that kind of thing anyway. Maybe I'd crop them a little bit or straighten them sometimes. But again, for that kind of environment, if you're in the middle of a gig or at the pub or something, and you don't want to just have an SLR or whatever it might be sitting on the table, it was perfect, because you kind of didn't have an excuse to not take a photo, if you know what I mean. And it was easy to take the photo because it was, especially if you mess around with the settings and stuff like that, if you kind of know where you're going to go, or what, again, the kind of environment you're in, I could just get it out of my pocket and take a photo and know it was going to be all right.
I used it. I mean, one of the reasons was like Sean Tucker, Sam Lintaro, and Yushi, Christian, seeing those people using it a lot, reading a blog post on Eric Kim's website where he talked about using this camera, and he was like, what I wish I knew then, kind of thing. And it was, or what advice would I give to somebody, wanting to get into street photography? It was, buy this, put it on P, and just go out, shoot JPEGs only, and just go out and shoot as much as possible. And don't worry about editing them. Just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, and get into taking photos up close, all that kind of thing. And reading that, I was like, oh man, maybe it's maybe I should give it a go. And I think I said to you earlier, like, one of the reasons I wanted this camera was just because I wanted to own it, because it's just one of them cameras you hear about all the time. And I was like, I want one.
Well, I actually had never heard of it, and it was my friend Joel Peck, Northampton lad. Well, he doesn't live here at the moment, but he's very, very good photographer, very good skateboarder. And I bumped into him in the pub one night, and I asked him, I was like, oh, what are you shooting at the moment? And he literally just pulled it out of his pocket, started telling me about like a few features of it and everything like that. And then I pretty much went home the next day, started researching it like you do with anything, right? And a couple of weeks later, I bought it. So but again, he's a very different photographer from me. He's a very skilled skateboard photographer. But he uses that. I'm sure there's a lot of different cameras he uses, but I don't know, we'll drop a link to his Instagram or something. But that's what kind of got me onto the hype around it. Well, that's what got me onto the camera, and then I realised there was kind of this big hype around it. But I remember I went to Hamburg on a stag do, and I took two of my favourite photos there. One of them was my friend. One of them was this. I mean, you can flash it up on the screen, can't you? Just a friend having a cigarette. And then there was like the street performer playing the trumpet.
That's wicked.
Probably two of my favourite photos. So they were two of my favourite photos that I'd probably take. Well, two memorable photos that I've taken. They just so happened to be within the same weekend of each other, or same week of each other. We met up once, didn't we? We went out and we did some street photography at night. And I took the Ricoh out, and there was a couple of photos that I got from that which I liked. It was nice to go out and kind of learn a bit more about the camera, especially shooting it at night. But it can do everything, right? It can do everything you want it to do. It's got a wide lens. It's crisp enough that you can crop the images and make them smaller. It's certainly not a bad camera at all.
No, no, not at all. It's just that thing of like whenever I go out, I'm like, well, I've got a camera I prefer using, so I've never gone out. But maybe I should make a concerted effort to be like, I'm going to go out and shoot this camera. But I find it like something about it that even though it's designed for street, it's not as fast to use as like the X Pro 2. I find I can be like really quick with that.
That's a good point as well, because if you're like, I don't know how you feel with it, but maybe you haven't done it as much as me, but I was going out every day with the Ricoh into my local town and just for like half an hour a day while I was at work, going out on my lunch break and just trying to, I set myself a mini goal, which I think I've spoken about before, but I was just trying to take one photo a day that I somewhat liked for whatever reason.
Yeah. Right. 2 questions. 2. Is there anything you don't like about it? And would you still buy this camera in 2021? I don't know why I did it in that voice, but
I remember what I was saying, but it answers your question. So what I like about it is it's so quick to kind of use. So it appealed to me because I was getting more and more into street photography. So I wanted the Ricoh GR2. But this is what I was going to ask you. So when I'm shooting the Ricoh GR2, because it's so small, and if you want to take one of those kind of sneaky little photos, you can do that, no problem, because it is so small. You can't really see it, especially on like a busy street or whatever it might be. But saying that, you don't really have the feel of taking taking a photo. However, saying that, I do like the fact that it is very subtle or almost unnoticeable. But if someone does notice you, it doesn't really look like a professional looking camera. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I can't say I've ever really come across that, maybe a few times. And I know that I'm kind of cocky enough to just to say to someone, but if you're not that kind of person, or if you're looking for a camera that if someone approached you and you want to say, oh, I'm actually a photographer, or I'm working on this project of mine, whatever it might be, then it doesn't look that convincing to be that kind of camera. Where if you had something like, the X Pro 2, or I don't know, X100V, or whatever it might be, a bigger camera, you can get away with that looking a little bit more professional. So if you do get stopped, you can say, oh yeah, I'm a photographer, I'm working on X, Y, and Z. Do you mind if I take your portrait? Where you can't really go up to someone with that and say, can I take a portrait of you, with as much confidence as another camera. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, pros and cons. But would I buy the camera? Hell yeah. I'm not getting rid of it yet. I don't think. There's other cameras I want, but financial situation, maybe I'll have to sell it to get another camera. But yeah, putting money aside, then yeah, I would keep hold of it.
And is there anything you don't like about using it?
I just wish there was a viewfinder. I wish there was a built-in viewfinder.
Yeah.
Even if it's
Tiny little
the
one.
satisfaction of framing a shot without kind of looking at a screen, if you know what I mean. But I don't know, that's not necessarily something that it didn't put me off buying it in the first place.
Yeah.
I just kind of wish one was there. But without kind of going too technical in terms of what the camera can and can't do, because there's a lot that I don't know in terms of how I use the camera and how I function the camera. Yeah, I'd recommend it without a doubt. And I think if you compare it to a lot of other cameras in that kind of price range and bracket, it far outperforms a lot of them.
Yeah, massively. For me, I like the results, but I don't really like using it.
Yeah, that's a nail on the head. Yeah,
I don't like the way it looks. I don't like do you know what? The 35mm camera that this is based on, since I've seen one of those in the flesh kind of thing, Paul Hughes has got one.
Yeah.
I appreciated the design of this more, but still, I don't love the way it looks. I don't love the way it works. I don't like this thing on the back. Never use it. Sometimes I move it and it doesn't seem to do much. I don't like the way you adjust the ISO with that. I don't really like the
I
shutter.
quite like that, but it's a lot different to other cameras. I know what you mean. I completely understand where you're coming from. It's very unique in the way it works.
Yeah, but it's like, is it form over function or the other way around? Basically, fits really well in your hand, and it takes really good pictures. So that's all that should matter. But I don't think it is all that matters to me. Like I've said before, I like something that looks good, or I consider to look good. I know lots of people do like the way this looks, but let's just say, so like that would be really dark, right? 1/2000 of a second. That's really dark. That's not going to come out. Look, nothing, right? But when I look through it, I can see a picture.
Yeah.
So to me, a street camera should,
if it's showing you something on the screen, you're somewhat imagining that should be the result.
it should give you a live preview. So it's not until I get to there that I actually start getting a live preview, and then I go up to there and it sort of stops again. So like that annoys me, because if you're there, you've got to look right. Is that how the picture's going to come out, or you're looking for that little thing there to tell you that you're underexposed? And to me, I know you've probably dialed in your settings already before you stuck it in your pocket, but that's like, it's not cool.
It's very easy to change, and you can change it very quickly. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's just not there.
Whereas with this, no, look, but look,
Yeah,
go all the way, and so you know you're actually seeing what you're seeing. That's what the photo is going to look like when you take the picture. So it's like it's instant. It's really, really instant. That was a terrible example, and it probably won't work when I watch it back. But it's like it's instant, and that's not.
Yeah.
And also, I like being able to see what settings I've got my camera on. Like when I'm walking along with this, I fiddle with that just to get myself ready, you know.
I think that's kind of a pro in some eyes, isn't it? Where they've sacrificed that kind of thing to have it pocket-sized and it's pocket power, isn't it? Like it's a powerful little camera.
Yeah.
But like going back to what you said, if that's not high up on your needs of a camera, then does it really matter that it can fit in your pocket or not? But again, it depends how you're shooting. If you're going out to take photos one day, let's say you just fancy going out to take some photos, wherever it might be, whether it's countryside, city, portraits, whatever, then you probably wouldn't take the Ricoh GR2. Again, you might take it as a backup and hopefully never need it. But if you are just going out one day for, I don't know, a dog walk or taking your kids to the park or going to a party or a gig or something like that, I think it's awesome. Like I feel like if I got rid of it, I would miss it for that reason, because I'd then have to take a backpack with me or a camera bag or whatever it might be to take photos at an event where I'm standing in a crowded place. But again, saying that, because of COVID and all that kind of stuff, that kind of shit hasn't happened. So it's not something to take full advantage of.
If I was going to change it, I would put an aperture ring on it and make that the shutter speed dial.
Yeah.
Then that would be killer. If you could control those things there. I'm just not used to that.
Yeah.
But
then again, use flash.
No, I know it's there, and I like doing this.
Yeah. I just wish that was a viewfinder instead.
Oh, that would be great, wouldn't it? A little pop-up viewfinder, even if it was just a hole to look through.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just to get the feel of holding the camera and framing your photo, because as photographers, that tends to be what you do.
And then again, like the best camera that many can buy, the X Pro 2, with a little eye sensor, so it switches the screen off when you put your eye up to it. Yeah. Have a little eye sensor on there, so the back screen's Well, I know lots of people who work
Ricoh
for Ricoh.
GR4 is being designed by ourselves.
Yeah, I know they all watch this podcast. So
there's things that annoy me about the camera, but I can't really knock the camera itself. Do you know what I mean? It is a fantastic camera. I think you just need to be aware of how you're kind of going to shoot the camera and think about the kind of pictures you kind of normally take on a day-to-day basis. And then
yeah, and saying all that stuff, it's in my pocket every day.
Yeah.
If I'm not out taking photos, specifically to take photos, it's in my pocket anywhere.
It also works well with the camera strap as well, because it's so light. You can throw a camera strap on there and wear it, you know, over your neck or whatever it might be. But
was that just an excuse to show off your new camera strap?
No, I've been using it. It's really good.
Yeah.
£8 Amazon climbing rope strap. That I've just dropped on the floor. But no, I think it can work. To be fair, I've set the Ricoh up on a tripod a couple of times, even though you can set the shutter speed to whatever it is. But I still use it as a normal camera, a lot, you know, how I would other cameras. I've got into photography a lot more since I've got the Ricoh GR2. That was probably one of my first expensive digital cameras, if you like. And since that, it's opened my eyes to a lot of other things I want.
Yeah, it's not like expensive in, you know,
not in the grand
scheme of things, is it? But it's a chunk of money as opposed to buying like an £89 something from Argos or whatever. But that's the point, like what you just said. It's made you go out and take more photos.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing.
And I've definitely learned from those photos, and I'm sure that you know, definitely. So yeah, go buy the Ricoh GR2. I might as well talk, because whatever I do, even I'm sitting and not saying anything, Luke's going to put this in as an awkward moment in the video. Brilliant.